Hey everyone. Let me see if Mina Keys comes on because she was the one that requested that I make this video, and I will be looking out for her. So we're going to talk about, do we have to conform? Do we have to conform? Do we have to conform to societal norms? Do we have to conform to government rules? Do we have to conform to... Hi, hey Mina, yes, you are here. I'm so happy. Okay, I made this video just for you, Mina. And hey, Stacy Benz. Hey girl, how y'all doing? So Mina is going to help me with this conversation. So if Mina, if you could ask me some specific questions in the chat, that would be really helpful. But in general, I'm just going to be talking about conforming and if we have to do it or not. So there are societal norms, there are rules and regulations, there are laws, there are policies, there are a lot of constraints that us humans come into contact with on a day-to-day basis, whether that be at school, at work, in your jurisdiction, in your county, in your city, in your state, in your country, right? And the question is, do we have to conform? And the short answer is what my father would always say. He would say, all I have to do is stay black and die, right? I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is stay black and die. And if you're not black, in other words, all you have to do is die, right? When we come into this world, we aren't required to do anything. But it's a matter of what do you want to achieve? Like, what is your goal? So while we don't have to conform, there are consequences to not following the rules, or to not, or to not do what society or other groups of people expect from you. Okay, so but a lot of people conform because they want to make their life easier. I remember I was so very, very against makeup. I was against dresses and heels and wigs and weaves and all that stuff. And now I embrace all of that because I've seen what it can do. Me wearing twists or me wearing Afro puffs, that person, that Maya gets a lot of obstacles and very different treatment than the Maya that wears makeup and weaves and all that stuff. And although it's super sad, it's true. So we can use conforming, the act of conforming, as a tool to get what we want. So at the end of it, at the end of the play, we can choose what we want to do, right? So Mina says, we are told on how to behave and do certain things to be accepted by those who create it. Of course. But I feel like the goal is, instead of, see, I used to be like so opposite to what I am now. And I used to be very rebellious, and I would push back against any form of like norm, any form of regulation that told me I had to wear my hair like this or I had to act like this to fit the standard. But now I see it as, maybe if I stay quiet and observe, I can gather enough information, garner enough influence, and build a strong track record so that I can change the game for other people like me in the future. So sometimes you have to play the game, unfortunately. Sometimes you have to play the game of conforming to get what you want out of this world, to gain ability, to gain power, so that you can change it later on, right? I think the best example I can think of is Black Americans, right? Like, or Native Americans who fought tooth and nail to not conform, to not have to follow rules by a culture that has oppressed them. Sometimes you have no choice. If you want to make effective change, sustainable, long-lasting change. unfortunately. Um, yeah, it's and there's a lot of ways you can conform, right? You can conform to cultural norms. You can conform to a lifestyle, a way of living. You can conform to a look. I had a student come up to me recently and say, "Hey, I want to design some type of solution for people who have a bunch of tattoos but are looking to get professional work so they can have a living, and they need a way to cover up their tattoos." So they can wear professional attire and to look professional in the workplace, right? So, I mean, it that can go with piercings. It just depends on what you want to achieve. And understand that there are consequences and obstacles to not conforming. Like society punishes people who do not conform to norms in the dominant culture. Um, but there are ways to work around that reality and to conform long enough so that you can begin to change the rules and the standards as someone who has gained enough power or gained enough influence, or gained enough resources. So, Mina Key says functionalists believe that by following rules and norms, society operates well and for things to be done. But then the rich people always get rich, following those same norms for a change. It's not fair. I agree, Maya. Society punishes for not following norms. Okay, you made a great point. So you said functionalists believe that by following rules and norms, society operates well and for things to be done. Now, when they say that, when they say norms are good for operations and for things to be done efficiently and quickly, now what types of things do they want to get done and for who? I think that's an important question to ask. For who do they want to get things done? They're not talking about getting things done to benefit people like us, right? They're talking about getting things done to benefit people who are a part of the status quo, right? People who are a part of an elite and ruling class. So, it's always good to think about, if you can conform, make it work for you. You know what I mean? If you can, I'd say experiment. I feel like experimentation is key. Um, and seeing who accepts what and where is an important thing to do as well. So what is acceptable here isn't always acceptable there. Behavior that's acceptable here isn't always acceptable there. And learn about what you can do in each place. I feel like it's good to be very adaptive and flexible. So honestly, um, the type of person who is able to adapt and shift depending on their social environment are the people with the most power. Honestly, if you can go to this group of people and behave and have a demeanor that fits in this group, and then you can go over here into this group of people and behave and have a demeanor that fits with them, you can move in and out of different worlds and have access to a larger range of people, and that in and of itself is something very valuable because you'll be able to gain perspectives and to have access to ways of thinking that you would not have access to otherwise. And that understanding and that awareness is very valuable because it will allow you to understand the world better. Truth be told, the better you understand the world, the better you can understand that there is really no such thing as right or wrong, and that there's just differences. And the faster and better you can understand that your ability to work and to move in and out of those differences is very valuable because you will have access to social groups of people, to networks, and to perspectives that most people won't have access to, because most people know the way they grow up, that's how they are. Like very few people are able to move from one cultural group to another, from one socioeconomic status to another, from one geographic location to another, from one language to another. Like very few people are able to do that. So the more languages you can pick up, the more cultures you can get exposure to understand them and to understand the perspectives and the ways of life, the better. Yeah. So it's annoying, right? Like it's annoying to think that in certain places, if you don't conform, if you don't act and think and look like everybody else, you'll be punished. But that's just how people are. That is human nature. We should accept that and learn to work around it. The more you have exposure to other types of cultures, other types of realities, other types of ways of living, the better, the more freedom you will have to not conform, because you can move from place to place to place to place. If I don't like something about this culture or this country, I can move to another culture or country and appreciate the things about that country that are not available in another. Right? So you will give yourself more freedom to not conform if you learn more languages, if you get more exposure to ways of living, if you get more exposure and get comfortable with other perspectives and other lifestyles, right? If you have access to different types of cultural or social groups, you will have more freedom on how you choose to act, because in this environment you can enjoy being free and being a hippie and like walking around halfway naked and no one cares. But over here, if you want to focus on efficiency and getting stuff done, you might have to put on a suit or professional clothes, but you can benefit from the positive aspects of a place that wouldn't accept the hippie type and wouldn't accept people walking around with dreads and like people halfway naked, right? I mean, I've lived in a lot of different places and I've been around a lot of different people, and you have freedom to not conform if you have the ability to move in and out of these circles, in and out of these different social environments. Right, Mina. So being open is key. Being open-minded is key to success, definitely. The more creative you are, the better, right? You'll get it, like you'll have the freedom that you want if you expose yourself to different ways of living. And I would suggest be open-minded and have a wide network of people who enjoy to be around you. Be pleasant. Be open to having other people teach you their values, their ways of living. People love that. People love when another person is interested in their culture, is interested in learning their language, is interested in learning how they live and their perspectives. People love it, and people will adore you, and people will want to help you, and people want to teach you everything about their culture, everything about the way they live, right? Because it's in a way, it's like stroking their ego. They're like, wow, someone wants to come and learn my language. Someone wants to come and learn about how I live. And then when you create relationships like this with people, you create bonds that most people will never have access to, will never experience, and you'll be able to move around and spend time with those people and have those people help you adapt to other places. Like, for example, I have friends in Egypt, in Jordan, in Oman, in Spain. I have friends all over the world. And if all over the country too, I'm right now I'm in the United States, but all over the country, if I want to say to my friend in Spain, hey, I'm going to stay with you for a month, she was like, okay, cool. Same thing in Egypt, and the same thing in Jordan. Like, I have people who will host me, who will help me get settled. And I feel like it's very powerful. I can get up and go anytime and have people welcome me in different parts of the world. And that provides a lot more freedom for me not to conform by a set of rules that are in a particular place. I can go to another place and embrace their rules and embrace their norms and embrace their cultures as well. So, yes, Mina. You're welcome, Mina. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other specific questions, please let me know. You know what? I think I should start posting videos and footage of my time abroad, because it has really helped me to be open-minded and understand that flexibility and having access to different types of people, having access to different types of countries and cultures is a huge privilege. And I know it's not easy for everyone to have this, but if you are American, you are very fortunate. You have a American passport, which of right now is very powerful. You can get into anywhere. The US dollar is relatively very strong. It can go very, very far in other countries. You can see the world. Like, honestly, most Americans don't have a passport, and I think that's shameful because it's easier for us to get one and it's easy for us to move around. But a lot of us choose not to do it because, we're fed this, this illusion of American exceptionalism, that America is somehow better than everywhere else, and that is not true. It is what it is. Yes, America is a very powerful country, but it is not better. It is not objectively better. I mean, America ranks low in a lot of areas, healthcare being one of the main ones. A lot of places like developing countries like Cuba have universal healthcare. We don't have that. Canada, which is not a developing country, it's a developed country, has universal healthcare, right? Like, America is not objectively better. So if you are American, I would highly suggest that you go out and travel and get that perspective, because more than a job, more than money, I mean, just at the end of the day, we are social creatures, and the more we are able to connect with and understand other human beings, regardless of their culture or language, the more freedom and choices and power we have. Whew. Understanding is really valuable, and understanding is key. So, I hope this was helpful. I hope to see you later. Anybody else that watches this video, if you have any questions, let me know. I am always looking for different topics to discuss. And if you have a specific topic you'd like me to talk about, I am here to talk about it. And I will see you lovely people later. Bye. See ya.